Well, if you're wondering why farmers are so concerned about their farm finances right now, they really just can't catch a break. It's not just because corn prices are below break even for most. It's the fact input prices are so high, and relief specifically within the price of inputs does not look to be in sight.
The sound of panic isn't always loud. Sometimes it starts quietly, behind the walls of grain elevators, inside shipping offices, and across rural towns where corn has always been more than a crop. It's a livelihood. It's survival. And right now, that survival is slipping through America's fingers faster than anyone expected. Something unthinkable has happened. Something no one imagined possible just a year ago. U.S. corn, once the pride of global agriculture, is being rejected across the world. Cargo ships are being turned away. Contracts are disappearing. Buyers are walking out. And while the American heartland struggles to process what's going wrong, Canada is silently walking away with billion-dollar premium deals that were once America's birthright. The shockwaves began with a single word stamped onto shipping documents: rejected. From Mexico to East Asia, from Europe to South America, international buyers started pushing U.S. corn shipments back. Not because they didn't need grain, and not because demand was falling. Countries still wanted corn, just not American corn. The reasons hit harder than farmers expected. New global standards demanded cleaner, more traceable, lower emission corn, and the world decided the U.S. was no longer meeting the criteria. But that was just the surface. The deeper problem was political. Policy after policy, tariff after tariff, inspection after inspection. Washington built a maze so complicated that the rest of the world simply lost patience. Buyers didn't want paperwork wars. They didn't want tariff explosions. They didn't want sudden rule changes that could kill multi-million-dollar shipments overnight. They wanted reliability. And in 2025, reliability wasn't coming from the United States. The collapse started at the ports. Barges stacked on the Mississippi sat unmoving as shipment clearance times doubled. Corn waited in humidity and rain until the golden grain darkened and spoiled. New Orleans, once a powerhouse for American agriculture, turned into a floating graveyard of stranded vessels. Some waited weeks, others waited months, and every single day meant more losses for farmers who were already drowning in high input costs. Fertilizer, fuel, equipment. Everything was already expensive, but now rejected shipments were the final blow. And as this chaos unfolded, global buyers started calling someone else. Someone who had none of the political chaos, none of the inconsistent policies, none of the GMO restrictions, none of the export delays. They called Canada. What began as a quiet shift soon became a landslide. Canada offered exactly what the world was demanding: clean, traceable, sustainable corn backed by a stable regulatory environment. While the U.S. fought internal battles, Canada built a system that made overseas buyers feel secure. Every shipment could be traced from seed to ship using blockchain verification. Every crate came with low-carbon certification. Every container passed strict chemical compliance, without the extra fees, delays, or sudden rule changes that plagued the U.S. system. Within months, Canada didn't just enter the global premium corn market, it dominated it. Japan signed long-term contracts. South Korea locked in 5-year deals. European buyers shifted their preferred supplier from the Midwest to Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Even South American feed mills, which historically depended on U.S. corn, began splitting orders with Canadian exporters. Slowly, quietly, and without any loud political drama, Canada took the spot the U.S. had occupied for decades. Meanwhile, in America, the situation turned desperate. Corn prices fell below break-even. Farmers watched the markets crash, below $3.50 a bushel, the lowest levels in nearly a decade. Millions of tons of corn sat untouched. Storage silos overflowed. Some farmers chose to leave their fields unharvested because the cost of harvesting would create more losses than gains. Ethanol plants shut down or slashed production. At least 25 facilities were mothballed across the Midwest, leaving thousands without jobs and billions of gallons of potential ethanol output frozen in time. In rural America, the mood shifted from frustration to fear. Because for the first time in modern history, the world was not just rejecting U.S. corn, it was replacing it. Canada's premium grain began selling at prices U.S. farmers could only dream of. Manitoba corn hit $4.20 a bushel, thanks to its green certification. Ontario posted basis prices more than $180 above Chicago futures. Asian feed mills willingly paid extra for corn they considered safer, cleaner, and more traceable. It wasn't just a trade shift, it was a reputation shift, the kind that takes years to build and years to recover from. What made it worse was that America didn't see it coming. For decades, U.S. farmers were told the world needed their corn, that global diets depended on Midwest harvests, that no country could match American scale, output, or efficiency. But 2025 proved something different. The world didn't need American corn, it needed dependable corn. And Canada provided exactly that at the exact moment global buyers were reevaluating their future suppliers. As more ships rerouted north instead of south, the financial wound deepened. Japanese buyers canceled long-standing contracts with U.S. cooperatives. Korean importers declined renewal bids from Illinois. European mills wrote GMO restrictions into their updated contracts, instantly pushing U.S. corn to the bottom of their sourcing priority list. Even Mexico, America's largest corn customer, tightened regulations, banning genetically modified imports entirely. And just like that, the U.S. found itself cornered. Canada didn't have to wage a trade war. It didn't have to impose tariffs. It didn't have to outproduce the U.S. It simply showed up prepared when the world demanded something different. But the pain didn't end with corn. The collapse triggered a dangerous chain reaction. Soybeans came next. With more than 90% of U.S. soybean acreage GMO, European buyers began dropping American shipments from their low-carbon lists. Dairy farmers, already stretched thin by high feed costs, braced for even lower margins. Beef producers struggled to justify high-emission, corn-fed cattle in a world shifting toward carbon scoring. Every corner of the agricultural system felt the tremors. The question wasn't just whether the U.S. could regain its corn dominance. The question became whether America could afford to fall any further. Because while the U.S. was fighting its internal battles, Canada was securing its future trade agencies, backed farmers with export insurance. Rail networks connected Vancouver to major Asian shipping routes, making Canada's west coast a powerhouse hub. Logistics ran smoother. Contracts renewed faster. Buyers got what they needed without political noise or unpredictable tariffs. Canada didn't just win more sales, it won trust. And in global trade, trust is worth more than crop yields, more than volume, more than historical dominance. This shift marked a turning point for American agriculture, a moment where the world didn't wait for Washington to fix its policies. A moment where farmers realized that the problem wasn't their effort, their work, or their pride, it was the system built above them. And now, as U.S. corn sits waiting in silos and ships, and Canada's premium grain moves across the world, one truth is becoming clear. The global grain trade no longer revolves around the United States. It is rebalancing, redirecting, rebuilding, and the country benefiting the most is Canada. The question is, how long will this continue? Will Washington finally step in to repair the damage, rewrite inspection standards, clean up export procedures, and rebuild global trust? Or will the rural economy continue sliding deeper into crisis while Canada cements its place as the new powerhouse of premium grain? Because right now, contracts are being signed, ships are being loaded, and billion-dollar deals are moving north every single day.